Welcome back, everybody, to episode 10 of Sip, Read, Repeat. You know who I am, and of course, we're picking up in Gone Girl. Before we get started, in my cup, this is going to be my official chalice, if you would, of the channel. Uh, Today, I got some Liquid Death, of course. It's the Squeeze to Death, so it's the orange flavor, and I got a little bit of zero sugar Mountain Dew to kind of like balance flavors out. I put a little bit of whiskey in here too. I haven't tried it, so let's see how it tastes. Honestly, it tastes mostly like whiskey, and that's totally fine. Last we left off in this book, actually, I'm gonna move this over here. Last we left off in the book, the police were really grilling Nick because the scene of the crime seemed to be a little bit more staged than an actual crime. So here we go. We're picking up right after they just told him they found a lot of blood on the floor. Let's actually start from there. Where should we start from? Amy's type. Be positive, Boney interrupted. And I'm not talking a little cut. I'm talking blood. Oh my God. A clot of heat appeared in the middle of my chest. But, yes, so your wife made it out of this room, Gilpin said. Somehow, in theory, she made it into the kitchen without disturbing any of these gewgaws on that table just outside the kitchen. And then she collapsed in the kitchen, where she lost a lot of blood. And then someone carefully mopped it up, Rhonda said, watching me. Wait. Why would someone try to hide blood but then mess up the living room? We'll figure that out. Don't worry, Nick, Rhonda said quietly. I don't get it. I just don't. Let's sit down, Boney said. She pointed me toward a dining room chair. You eat anything yet? Want a sandwich? Something? I shook my head. Boney was taking turns playing different female characters. Powerful woman, doting caregiver, to see what got the best results. How's your marriage, Nick? Rhonda asked. I mean, 5 years? That's not far from the 7-year itch. The marriage was fine, I repeated. It's fine. Not perfect, but good. Good. She wrinkled her nose. You lie. You think she might have run off? I asked too hopefully. Made this look like a crime scene and took off? Runaway wife thing? Boney began ticking off reasons no. She hasn't used her cell phone. She hasn't used her credit cards, ATM cards. She had no major cash withdrawals in the few weeks before. And there's the blood, Gilpin added. I mean, again, I don't want to sound harsh, but the amount of blood spilled, that would take some serious... I couldn't have done it to myself. I'm talking some deep wounds there. Your wife got nerves of steel? Yes, she does. She also had a deep phobia of blood, but I'd wait and let the brilliant detectives figure that out. It seems extremely unlikely, Gilpin said. If she were to wound herself that seriously, why would she mop it up? So really, let's be honest, Nick, Boney said, leaning over on her knees so she could make eye contact with me as I stared at the floor. How is your marriage currently? We're on your side, but we need to know the truth. The only thing that makes you look bad is you holding out on us. We've had some bumps. I saw Amy in the bedroom that last night, her face mottled with the red Hy-Vee splotches she got when she was angry. She was spitting out the words. Mean, wild words. Words. It sounded weird when I said it the first time. And I was listening to her, trying to accept the words because they were true. They were technically true. Everything she said. Describe the bumps for us, Boney said. Nothing specific, just disagreements. Amy is a blow stack. She bottles up a bunch of little stuff and boom. But then it's over. We never went to bed angry. Not Wednesday night, Boney asked. Never. I lied. Is it money, what you mostly argue about? I can't even think about what we'd argue about. Just stuff. What stuff was it the night that she went missing? Gilpin said it with a sideways grin, like he'd uttered the most unbelievable gotcha. Like I told you, there was the lobster. What else? I'm sure you didn't scream about the lobster for a whole hour. At that point, Bleecker waddled part way down the stairs and peered through the railings. Other household stuff, married couple stuff, the cat box, I said. Who would clean the cat box? You were in a screaming argument about a cat box, Boney said. You know the principle of the thing. I work a lot of hours and Amy doesn't, and I think it would be good for her if she did some basic home maintenance. Just basic upkeep. Gilpin jolted like an invalid woken from an afternoon nap. You're an old-fashioned guy, right? I'm the same way. I tell my wife all the time, I don't know how to iron. I don't know how to do the dishes. I can't cook. So, sweetheart, I'll catch the bad guys. That I can do. And you throw some clothes in the washer now and then. Rhonda, you were married. Did you do the domestic stuff at home? Boney looked believably annoyed. I catch bad guys too, idiot. Goopin rolled his eyes toward me. I almost expected him to make a joke. Sounds like someone's on the rag. The guy was laying it on so thick. Goopin rubbed his Vulcan jaw. So you just wanted a housewife, he said to me, making the proposition seem reasonable. I wanted I wanted whatever Amy wanted. I really didn't care. I appealed to Boney now. Detective Rhonda Boney, with a sympathetic air that seemed at least partly authentic. It's not, I reminded myself. Amy couldn't decide what to do here. She couldn't find a job and she wasn't interested in the bar. Which is fine. If you want to stay home, that's fine, I said. But when she stayed home, she was unhappy too. And she'd wait for me to fix it. It was like I was in charge of her happiness. Boney said nothing, gave me a face expressionless as water. And I mean, it's fun to be a hero for a while, be the white knight, but it doesn't really work for long. I couldn't make her happy. She didn't want to be happy. So I thought, if she started taking charge of some practical things, like the cat box, said Boney. Yeah, clean the cat box, get some groceries, call a plumber to fix the drip that drove her crazy. Wow, that sounds like a real happiness plan there. A lot of yucks. But my point was, do something. Whatever it is, do something. Make the most of the situation. Don't sit and wait for me to fix almost everything. Don't wait for me to fix everything for you. I was speaking loudly, I realized, and I sounded almost angry. Certainly righteous, but it was such a relief. I started with a lie, the cat box, and turned that into a surprising burst of pure truth. And I realized why criminals talk too much. Because it feels good to tell your story to a stranger. Someone who won't call bullshit. Someone forced to listen to your side. Someone pretending to listen to your side. I corrected. So to move back to Missouri, Boney said, you moved Amy here against her wishes? Against her wishes? No. We did what we had to do. I had no job. Amy had no job. My mom was sick. I do the same for Amy. That's nice of you to say, Boney muttered, and suddenly she reminded me exactly of Amy. The damning below-breath retorts uttered at perfect level, so I was pretty sure I heard them, but couldn't swear to it. And if I asked what I was supposed to ask, what did you say? She'd always say the same, nothing. I glared at Boney, my mouth tight, and then I thought, maybe this is part of the plan, to see how you act toward angry, dissatisfied women. I tried to make myself smile, but it only seemed to repulse her more. And you're able to afford this. Amy working, not working, whatever you could swing it financially. Whatever you could swing it financially, Gilpin asked. We've had some money problems of late, I said. When we first married, Amy was wealthy, like extremely wealthy. Right, said Boney. Those amazing Amy books. Yeah, they made a ton of money in the 80s and 90s. But the publisher dropped them, said Amy had run her course. And everything went south. Amy's parents had to borrow money from us to stay afloat. From your wife, you mean? Right, fine. And then we used most of the last of Amy's trust fund to buy the bar. And I've been supporting her since. So when you married Amy, she was very wealthy, Gilpin said. I nodded. I was thinking of the hero narrative, the husband who sticks by his wife through the horrible decline in her family circumstances. So you had a very nice lifestyle. Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. And now she's near broke. And you're dealing with a very different lifestyle than what you married into, what you signed on for. I realized my narrative was completely wrong. Because, okay, we've been going over your finances, Nick. And dang, they don't look good, Gilpin started, almost turning the accusation into a concern, a worry. The bar is doing decent, I said. It usually takes a new business 3 or 4 years to get out the red. It's those credit cards that got my attention, Boney said. $212,000 in credit card debt? I mean, it took my breath away. That's crazy. She fanned a stack of red ink statements at me. My parents were fanatics about credit cards, used only for special purposes, paid off every month. We don't buy what we can't pay for. It was the Dunn family motto. We don't, I don't, at least, but I don't think Amy would. Can I see those? I stuttered, just as the low-flying bomber rattled the window panes. A plant on the mantel promptly lost 5 pretty purple leaves. Forced into silence for 10 brain-shaking seconds, we all watched the leaves flutter to the ground. Yet this great brawl we're supposed to believe happened in here, And not a petal was on the floor then? Gilbert muttered disgustingly. I took the papers from Boney and saw my name. Only my name. Versions of it. Nick Dunn, Lance N. Dunn, Lance Nicholas Dunn, on a dozen different credit cards. Balances from $62.78 to $45,000. $45,602.33. All in various states of lateness. Terse threats printed in ominous lettering across the top. Pay now. Holy fuck. This is like identity theft or something, I said. They're not mine. I mean, freaking look at some of this stuff. I don't even golf. Someone had paid over $7,000 for a set of clubs. Anyone can tell you, I really don't golf. I try to make it a self-effacing, yet another thing I'm not good at, but the detectives weren't biting. You know Noelle Hawthorne? Boney asked. The friend of Amy's you wanted us to check in on? Wait, I want to talk about the bills, because they are not mine, I said. I mean, please, seriously, we need to track this down. We'll track it down. No problem, Boney said, expressionless. Yeah, she don't believe him. Like at all. Noelle Hawthorne. Right, I told you check her out because she's been all over town wailing about Amy. Boney arched an eyebrow. You seem angry about that. No, like I told you, she seems a little too broken up. Like in a fake way. Ostentatious, attention-seeking, a little obsessed. We talked to Noelle, Boney said. Says your wife was extremely troubled by the marriage, was upset about the money stuff, that she worried worried you'd marry her for her money. She says your wife worried about your temper. I don't know why Noelle would say that. I don't think she and Amy ever exchanged more than 5 words. That's funny, because the Hawthorne's living room is covered with photos of Noelle and your wife, Boney frowned. I frowned too. Actual, real pictures of her and Amy? Boney continued. At the St. Louis Zoo last October, on a picnic with the triplets, on a weekend float trip this past June, as in last month. Amy has never uttered the name Noelle in the entire time he lived here. I'm serious. I scanned my brain over this past June, and it came upon a weekend I went away with Andy, told Amy I was doing a boys' trip to St. Louis. I returned home and found her pink-cheeked and angry, claiming a weekend of bad cable and bored reading on the dock. And she was on a float trip? No. I couldn't think of anything Amy would care for less than the typical Midwestern float trip. Beers bobbing in coolers tied to canoes, loud music, drunk frat boys, campgrounds dotted with vomit. Are you sure it was my wife in those photos? They gave each other a, he serious? Look. Nick, Boney said, we have no reason to believe that the woman in the photos looks exactly like your wife and who Noelle Hawthorne, a mother of 3, your wife's best friend here in town, says is your wife. It's not your wife. Your wife who, I should say, according to Noelle, you marry for money, Gilpin added. I'm not joking, I said. Anyone these days can doctor photos on a laptop. Okay, so a minute ago, you were sure Desi Collins was involved, and now you've moved on to Noelle Hawthorne, Gilpin said. It seems like you're really casting about for someone to blame. Besides me? Yes, I am. Look, I did not marry Amy for her money. You really should talk more with Amy's parents. They know me. They know my character. They don't know everything. I thought, my stomach's seizing. Boney was watching me. She looked sort of sorry for me. Gilpin didn't seem to be listening. You bumped up the life insurance coverage on your wife to $1.2 million, Gilpin said with mock weariness. He even pulled a hand over his long, thin-jawed face. Amy did that herself, I said quickly. The cops both just looked at me and waited. I mean, I filed the paperwork, but it was Amy's idea. She insisted. I swear, I couldn't care less. But Amy said, given the change in her income, it made her feel more secure or something. Or it was a smart business decision. Fuck, I don't know. I don't know why she wanted it. I didn't ask her to. 2 months ago, someone did a search on your laptop, Boney continued. Body float Mississippi River. Can you explain that? I took 2 deep breaths. 9 seconds to pull myself together. God, that was a dumb book idea, I said. I was thinking about writing a book. Huh? Boney replied. Look, here's what I think is happening, I began. I think a lot of people watch these news programs where the husband is always the awful guy who kills his wife, and they are seeing me through that lens, and some really innocent, normal things are being twisted. This is turning into a witch hunt. That's how you explain those credit card bills? Gilpin asked. I told you, I can't explain the fucking credit card bills because I have nothing to do with them. It's your fucking job to figure out where they came from. They sat silent, side by side, waiting. What is currently being done to find my wife? I asked. What leads are you exploring besides me? The house began shaking. The sky ripped, and through the back window, you could see a jet shooting past right over the river, buzzing us. F-10, Rhonda said. Nah, too small, Gilpin said. It's got to be. It's an F-10. Boney leaned toward me, hands entwined. It's our job to make sure you are in the 100% clear, Nick, she said. I know you want that too. Now, if you can just help us with a few little tangles, because that's what they are, they keep tripping us up. Maybe it's time I get a lawyer. The cops exchanged another look, as if they'd settled a bet. This nigga is in hot doo-doo water. Amy Elliott Dunn, October 21st, 2011. Diary entry. Nick's mom is dead. I haven't been able to write because Nick's mom is dead, and her son has come unmoored. Sweet, tough Maureen. She was up and moving around until days before she died, refusing to discuss any sort of slowdown. I just want to live until I can't anymore, she said. She got into knitting caps for other chemo patients. She herself was done after one round. No interest in prolonging life if it meant more tubes. So I'll remember her, always surrounded by bright knots of wool, red and yellow and green, and her fingers moving, the needles click-clacking while she talked in her contented cat voice, all deep, sleepy purr. And then one morning in September, she woke, but didn't really wake, didn't become Maureen. She was a bird-sized woman overnight. That fast, all wrinkles and shell. Oh, excuse me. Wow, that was a really weird way for me to read that sentence. Let me try that again. She was a bird-sized woman overnight. That fast, all wrinkles and shell. Her eyes darting around the room, unable to place anything, including herself. So then came the hospice, a gently lit, cheerful place with paintings of women in bonnets, and rolling hills of bounty and snack machines and small coffees. The hospice was not expected to fix her or help her, but just make sure she died comfortably. And just 3 days later, she did. Very matter of fact, the way Maureen would have wanted it. Although I'm sure she would have rolled her eyes at that phrase, the way Maureen would have wanted it. Her wake was modest but nice, with hundreds of people, her look-alike sister from Omaha bustling by proxy, pouring coffee and Baileys and handing out cookies and telling funny stories about Mo. We buried her on a gutsy, warm morning, Go and Nick leaning into each other as I stood nearby, feeling intrusive. That night in bed, Nick let me put my arms around him, his back to me. But after a few minutes, he got up, whispered, "Gotta get some air," and left the house. His mother had always mothered him. She insisted on coming by once a week and ironing for us. And when she was done ironing, she'd say, "I'll just help tidy." And after she left, I'd look in the fridge and find she'd peeled and sliced his grapefruit for him. Put the pieces in a snap top container. And then I opened the bread and discovered all the crust had been cut away. Each slice returned half naked. I am married to a 34-year-old man who was still offended by bread crusts. But I try to do the same those first weeks after his mom passed. I snipped the bread crust, I ironed his t-shirts, I baked a blueberry pie from his mom's recipe. "I don't need to be babied, Amy. Really," he said as he started to stare at the loaf of skinned breads. "I let my mom do it because it made her happy, but I know you don't like that nurturing stuff." So we're back to black squares. Sweet, doting, loving Nick is gone. Gruff, peeved, angry Nick is back. You were supposed to lean on your spouse in hard times, but Nick seems to have gone further away. He is a mama's boy who mama is dead. He doesn't want anything to do with me. He uses me for sex when he needs to. He presses me against the table or over the back of the bed and fucks me, silent until the last few moments, those few quick grunts, and then he releases me. He puts a palm on the small of my back, his one gesture of intimacy, and he says something that's supposed to seem like a game. You're so sexy, sometimes I can't control myself. But he says it in a dead voice. Quiz. Your husband, with whom you once shared a wonderful sex life, has turned distant and cold. He only wants sex his way, on his time. You withhold sex further. He's not going to win this game. Cry and whine and demand answers he's not ready yet to give, further alienating him. C. Have faith that this is just a bump in a long marriage. He is in a dark place, so try to be understanding and wait it out. Answer. C. Right? It bothers me that my marriage is disintegrating and I don't know what to do. You'd think my parents, the double psychologists, would be the obvious people to talk to, but I have too much pride. They would be good for marital advice. They would not be good for marital advice. They are soulmates, remember? They are all peaks, no valleys. A single, infinite burst of marital ecstasy. I can't tell them I am screwing up the one thing I have left, my marriage. They'd somehow write another book, a fictional rebuke in which Amazing Amy celebrated the most fantastic, fulfilling, bump-free little marriage ever, because she put her mind to it. But I worry all the time. I know I'm already too old for my husband's taste, because I used to be his ideal 6 years ago, and so I've heard his ruthless comments about women nearing 40, how pathetic he finds them, overdressed, out at bars, oblivious to their lack of appeal. He'd come back from a night out drinking, and I'd ask him how the bar was, whatever bar, and he'd often say, totally inundated by lost causes. His code for women my age. Damn, that's cold as shit, like he's not her age. Oh no, I think she's a little bit older than him. At the time, a girl barely in her 30s, I smirked along with him as if that would never happen to me. Now I am his lost cause, and he's trapped with me, and maybe that's why he's so angry. I've been indulging in toddler therapy. I walk over to Noelle's every day. Ooh! I walk over to Noelle's every day, and I let her triplets paw at me. The little plump hands in my hair, the sticky breath on my neck. You can understand why women always threaten to devour children. She is just to eat. I could eat him with a spoon. Although watching her 3 children toddle to her, sleep stained from their nap, rubbing their eyes while they make their way to mama, little hands touching her knee or arm, as if she were home base, as if they knew they were safe. It hurts me sometimes to watch. Yesterday, I had a particularly needful afternoon at Noelle's. That was weird. So maybe that's why I did something stupid. Nick comes home and finds me in the bedroom, fresh from a shower, and pretty soon he is pushing me against the wall, pushing himself inside me. When he is done and releases me, I can see the wet kiss of my mouth against the blue paint. Blue paint. Okay. As he sits on, oh, it must be the color of the wall. As he sits on the edge of the bed, panting, he says, sorry about that. I just needed you. Not looking at me. I go to him and put my arms around him, pretending what we'd done was normal, a pleasant marital ritual. And I said, I've been thinking. Yeah, what's that? Well, now might not be the right time. Start a family. Try to get pregnant. I know it's crazy even as I say it, but I can't help myself. I have become the crazy woman who wants to get pregnant because it will save her marriage. That's not, she didn't say that to Nick. I feel like I need to figure out how to do the voices, but whatever. It's humbling to become the very thing you once mocked. He jerks away from me. Now? Now is about the worst time to start a family, Amy. You have no job. I know. But I want to stay home with the baby anyway at first. My mom just died, Amy. And this will be new life. A new start. He grips me by both arms and looks me right in the eye for the first time in a week. Amy, I think you think that now that my mom is dead, we'll just frolic back to New York and have some babies, and you'll get your old life back. But we don't have enough money. We barely have enough money for the 2 of us to live here. You can't imagine how much pressure I feel every day to fix this mess we're in. To fucking provide. I can't handle you, me, and a few kids. You'll want to give them everything you had growing up, and I can't. No private schools for little duns. No tennis and violin lessons. No summer homes. You'd hate how poor we'd be. You'd hate it. I'm not that shallow, Nick. You really think we're in a great place now to have kids? It is the closest we've gotten to discussing our marriage. And I can see he already regrets saying something. We're under a lot of pressure, baby. I say. We've had a few bumps, and I know a lot of it is my fault. I just feel so at loose ends here. So we're going to be one of those couples who has a kid to fix their marriage, because that always works out so well. We'll have a baby because his eyes go dark, canine, and he grabs me by my arms again. Just no, Amy, not right now. I can't take one more bit of stress. I can't handle one more thing to worry about. I am cracking under pressure. I will snap. For once, I know he's telling the truth. Nick done. 6 days gone. The first 48 hours are key in any investigation. Amy had been gone now, almost a week. A candlelight vigil will be held this evening in Tom Sawyer Park, which, according to the press, was a favorite place of Amy Elliott Dunn's. I'd never known Amy to set foot in the park, despite the name, as it is not remotely quaint. Generic, bereft of trees, with the sandbox is always full of animal feces. It is utterly untwainy. In the last 24 hours, the story had gone national. It was everywhere, just like that. God bless the faithful Elliots. Mary Beth phoned me last night as I was trying to recover from the bombshell police interrogation. My mother-in-law had seen the Ellen Abbott show and pronounced the woman an opportunistic ratings whore. Nevertheless, we spent most of today strategizing how to handle the media. The media, my former clan, my people, was shaping its story, and the media loved the amazing Amy Engel and the long-married Elliots. No snarky commentary on the dismantling of the series or the author's near bankruptcy. Right now was all hearts and flowers for the Elliots. The media loved them. Me? Not so much. The media was already turning up items of concern. Not only the stuff that had been leaked, my lack of alibi, the possibly staged crime scene, but actual personality traits. They reported that back in high school, I'd never dated one girl longer than a few months, and thus was clearly a ladies' man. They found out we had my father in Comfort Hill and that I rarely visited, and thus I was an ingrate dad abandoner. It's a problem. They don't like you, Go said after every bit of news coverage. It's a real problem, Lance. The media have resurrected my first name, which I'd hated since grade school, stifled at the start of every school year when the teacher called roll. It's Nick. I go by Nick. Every September, and opening day right. Nick. I go by Nick. Always some smart-ass kid would spend the recess parading around like a mincing gallant. Hi, I'm Lance. Sorry. In a flowery, shirted voice. Yeah, I hear it. Then it would be forgotten again until the following year. But not now. Now it was all over the news. The dreaded three-name judgment reserved for serial killers and assassins. Lance Nicholas Dunn. And there was no one I could interrupt. Man's just losing it, y'all. He's losing it. Rand and Mary Beth, Go, and I carpooled to the vigil together. It was unclear how much information the Elliots were receiving, how many damning updates about their son-in-law. I knew they were aware of the stage scene. I'm going to get some of my own people in there, and they'll tell us just the opposite, that it clearly was the scene of a struggle, Rand said confidently. The truth is malleable. You just need to pick the right expert. Rand didn't know about the other stuff, the credit cards and the life insurance and the blood and Noelle, my wife's bitter best friend with the damning claims, abuse, greed, fear. She was booked on Ellen Abbott tonight, post-vigil. Noelle and Ellen could be mutually disgusted by me for the viewing audience. Not everyone was repulsed by me. In the past week, the bar's business was booming. Hundreds of customers packed in to sip beers and nibble popcorn at the place owned by Lance Nicholas Dunn, the maybe killer. Go had to hire 4 new kids to tend the bar. She dropped by once and said she couldn't go again. Couldn't stand seeing how packed it was. Fucking gawkers, ghouls, all drinking our booze and swapping stories about me. It was disgusting. Still, Go reasoned, the money would be helpful if Amy gone 6 days. We were all thinking in ifs. We approached the park in a car, gone silent except for Mary Beth's constant nail drumming on the window. Feels almost like a double date, Rand laughed, the laughter curving toward the hysterical, high-pitched and squeaky. Rand Elliott, genius psychologist, best-selling author, friend to all, was unraveling. Mary Beth had taken to self-medication, shots of clear liquor administered with absolute precision, enough to take the edge off, but stay sharp. Rand, on the other hand, was literally losing his head. I half expected to see it shoot off his shoulders on a jack-in-the-box spring. Cuckoo! Rand's schmoozy nature had turned manic. He got desperately chummy with everyone he met, wrapping his arms around cops, reporters, volunteers. He was particularly tight with our Days In liaison, a gawky, shy kid named Donnie, who Rand liked to razz and inform he was doing so. I'm just razzing you, Donnie, he'd say, and Donnie would break into a joyous grin. Can't that kid go get validation somewhere else? I grossed to go the other night. She said I was just jealous that my father figure liked someone better. I was. Mary Beth patted Rand's back as he walked toward the park, and I thought about how much I wanted someone to do that. Just a quick touch, and I suddenly let out a gasped sob, one quick teary moan. I wanted someone, but I wasn't sure if it was Andy or Amy. Nick, Go said. She raised a hand toward my shoulder, but I shrugged her off. Sorry. Wow. Sorry for that, I said. Weird outburst. Very undunny. No problem. We're both coming undunny, Go said, and looked away. Since discovering my situation, which is what we taken to calling my infidelity, she gotten a bit removed, her eyes distant, her face a constant mull. I was trying very hard not to resent it. As we entered the park, the camera crews were everywhere. Not just local anymore, but network. Not just local anymore, but network. The Dunns and Elliots walked along the perimeter of the crowd, Rand smiling and nodding like a visiting dignitary. Boney and Gilpin appeared almost immediately, took to our heels like friendly pointer dogs. They were becoming familiar furniture, which was clearly the idea. Boney was wearing the same clothes she wore to any public event. A sensible black skirt, a gray striped blouse, barrettes clipping either side of her limp hair. I got a girl named Boney Maroney. The night was steamy. Under each of Boney's armpits was a dark smiley face of perspiration. She actually grinned at me as if yesterday they were accusations, weren't they? Hadn't happened. The Elliots and I filed up the steps to a rickety makeshift stage. I looked back toward my twin, and she nodded at me and pantomimed a big breath, and I remembered to breathe. Hundreds of faces were turned towards me, along with flicking, flashing cameras. Don't smile, I told myself. Do not smile. From the front of dozens of Fine Amy t-shirts, my wife studied me. Go had said I need to make a speech. You need some humanizing, fast. So I did. I walked up to the microphone. It was too low, mid-belly, and I wrestled it for a few seconds, and it raised only an inch, the kind of malfunction that would normally infuriate me, but I could no longer be infuriated in public. So I took a breath and leaned down and read the words that my sister had written for me. My wife, Amy Dunn, has been missing for almost a week. I cannot possibly convey the anguish our family feels, the deep hole in our lives left by Amy's disappearance. Amy is the love of my life. She is the heart of her family. For those who have yet to meet her, she is funny and charming and kind. She is wise and warm. She is my helpmate and partner in every way. I looked up into the crowd and like magic spotted Andy, a disgusted look on her face, and I quickly glanced back at my notes. Amy is the woman I want to grow old with, and I know this will happen. Pause, breathe, no smile. Go had actually written the words on my index card. Happen, happen, happen. My voice echoed out through the speakers, rolling toward the river. We ask you to contact us with any information. We light candles tonight in the hope she comes home soon and safely. I love you, Amy. I kept my eyes moving everywhere but Andy. The park sparkled with candles. A moment of silence was supposed to be observed, but babies were crying, and one stumbling homeless man kept asking loudly, "Hey, what is this about? What's it for?" And someone would whisper Amy's name, and the guy would say louder, "What? It's for what?" From the middle of the crowd, Noelle Hawthorne began moving forward, her triplets affixed, one on a hip, the other two clinging onto her skirt, all looking ludicrously tiny to a man who spent no time around children. Noelle forced the crowd to part for her and the children, marching right to the edge of the podium, where she looked up at me. I glared at her. The woman had maligned me. And then I noticed for the first time the spell in her belly and realized she was pregnant again. For 1 second, my jaw dropped. 4 kids under 4? Sweet Jesus. And later, that look would be analyzed and debated. Most people believing it was a 1-2 punch of anger and fear. Hey, Nick! Her voice caught in the half-raised microphone and boomed out to the audience. I started to fumble with the mic, but couldn't find the off switch. I just wanted to see your face, she said, and burst into tears. A wet sob rolled out over the audience. Everyone rapped. Where is she? Oh no, excuse me, this is her. Where is she? What have you done with Amy? What have you done with your wife? Wife. Her voice echoed. 2 of her alarmed children began to wail. Noelle couldn't talk for a second. She was crying so hard. She was wild, furious, and she grabbed the microphone stand and yanked the whole thing down to her level. I debated grabbing it back, but knew I could do nothing toward this woman in the maternity dress with 3 toddlers. I scanned the crowd for Mike Hawthorne. Control your wife, but he was nowhere. Noelle turned to address the crowd. I am Amy's best friend. Friend. The words boomed out all over the park along with her children's keening. Despite my best efforts, the police don't seem to be taking me seriously. So I'm taking our cause to this town that Amy loved, that loved her back. This man, Nick Dunn, needs to answer some questions. He needs to tell us what he did to his wife. Boney darted from the side of the stage to reach her, and Noelle turned, and the 2 locked eyes. Boney made a frantic chopping motion at her throat. Stop talking. His pregnant wife. And no one could see the candles anymore because the flashbulbs were going berserk. Next to me, Ram made a noise like a balloon squeak. Down below me, Bonnie put her fingers between her eyebrows as if staunching a headache. I was seeing everyone in frantic strobe shots. That matched my pulse. Makes more sense. I looked down to the crowd for Andy, saw her staring at me, her face pink and twisted, her cheeks damp. And as we caught each other's eyes, she mouthed, asshole, and stumbled back away through the crowd. We should go. My sister, suddenly beside me, whispered in my ear, tugging at my arm. The cameras flashing at me as I stood like some Frankenstein's monster, fearful and agitated by the villager torches. Flash. We started moving, breaking into 2 parts, my sister and I fleeing toward Go's car. The Elliots standing with jaws agape on the platform left behind. Save yourselves. The reporters pelted the question over and over at me. Nick, was Amy pregnant? Nick, were you upset Amy was pregnant? Me, streaking out of the park, ducking like I was caught in hail. Pregnant. The word pulsing in the summer night in time to the cicadas. Yo, we're going to stop there. Ooh, wow. Wow. I don't remember that part, like, at all. I also want to figure out what day this is again. It's their anniversary, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, wow, that was a chapter, or that was a session, I should say. So what we got? We got the fact that Amy definitely was best friends with Noelle, and that she was pregnant. It's getting real, and now, with Andy, his mistress, being as pissed as she is, who knows what she's capable of? Huh. Yeah. Woo-wee. We're going to get a little bit further next time, I promise, but I feel like right there was a perfect place to stop. As always, y'all, thanks for tuning in and stopping by. Until next time, peace.